Alright guys, there's the old gymnasium today. Let's go jump a bit. Yeah, what was that? Deadlifts somewhere. Yeah, I hope it gets big one. Right. Oh, I should shut this up. So we've got our school shoes with me as well. And then probably a bit of adapters for accessories. So yeah, that is the plan for today. Nice empty early doing. Yeah, I hope you have a good session there. Touch wood. Then you've got this space for ease on. So just tuck in there. Go in there, that's sweet. Trying to do today. I think I was thinking about maybe doing 130 for sets. So potentially yeah. Just wait up, you know. Yeah, 130 for sets. We're going to do a set of 3, hopefully. I think about doing 2 sets of 3. I feel good, but I don't know, because I've done a 140 single last Sunday. So I'm just not sure how my nervous system's going to be. But I'm thinking about going heavy. Yeah, just a little. I probably should slow down a little bit more for that actually, because his front end was sticking out over the line, wasn't it? He weren't fully packed. But I just kept an eye on the space actually. Yeah, probably should slow down a bit more there to be fair. The van was almost going to go there, obviously that's a difficult junction with them though. Because the tree's really hard. Probably should have been a little bit more defensive. Oh, you can't really do a good chest. Space on it a bit. So that's not even well. These. What are we saying here? I think that band's pretty far away from us, so you should be able to roll right in it. Just get yourself. That should be possible. Yeah, so let's take down that this band anyway. going this next row. Bad old drive to the gym. Yeah, gonna hit my old gym session now. Got deadlift, squats, got my squat shoes there, and accessories. I didn't bring my belt because I decided not to put up today. I feel like my CNS doesn't need too much load. Yeah, gonna get in the gym now, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, alright, session. I think my nervous system's pretty fried, to be fair, because with deadlifts, I didn't put the movement together properly, basically, and it weren't, it weren't like a bad list put together, like it was just a little bit janky. But like on my top set, I actually completely rushed. That's what it is. Let's turn up now. Basically, I didn't reach for the bar with my arms to keep my spine neutral. I kind of I sort of just folded my back over to reach it, not intentionally. Basically, my mind was saying keep your arms straight. That was like the wrong cueing, the wrong thought process. Well, I should have thought this so much way there. Hey, my foot gets caught on the old forest. Just keep it slow. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop. Yeah, I accidentally reached over my back instead of like keeping my arms straight. Because when you reach down with your arms, you keep your spine neutral. And you're able to wedge so much stronger because everything's aligned, everything's stacked, you know. And they weren't stacked, and it was pretty janky situation. Quite ideal. Wasn't ideal. But look, the thing I was glad about is that I figured out what I did wrong. Do you know what I mean? When I was doing it in practice, like reaching down my arms, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. That feels great. I feel like I could wedge great from that when I was practicing. So I know what to do now. I'm going to have a deload, I think, now with some movements. Deadlifts being one of them, because I've done heavy deadlifts and stuff. I've 35 double 140 and stuff. yeah, I'm going to focus on purely like the technical side and get some speed in the bar by getting my technique as good as I can, as efficient as I can. Squats were good. Exactly, squats. Did 100 for triple, and that was after deadlifts too. I think with squats, you know, let's redeem ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Because I wasn't happy with the old deadlifts. Yeah, it's good. It's just hard to tell for some reason when it's that forward on the other side. But yeah, decent gym sesh. Not bad. I decided not to film my camera on the way back because it didn't really get high enough where you could see the roads very well, annoyingly. You could see things like traffic lights a bit. I'll have a full look when I've uploaded the video to my phone. I'll have a much better perspective then, but I think it's still cooler than this. I just because of the fact that it couldn't fully see the roads and things, I decided it weren't worth me looking like a bell end with the camera around my chest again if it can't really see the roads. So that's my honest thought process, you know what I mean? But yeah, deadlifts pretty bad because I just had brain fog with the execution. I didn't have the cues clearly envisaged in my head. However, squats, I had cues envisaged better with the wedge in, steps back, bracing. I had a bit more, focus and understanding of how I was going to execute the movement. And deadlifts are just, sometimes first movement of the day can be a bit pants because you've just rocked up to the gym. And if you're not turning up to the gym with that mindset, it can take a bit of time to get that. But I go through deadlifts quite quick. It's like 40, 60, 80, 100, fucking 130. Yup, here we are. When you do 40, 60, 80 and you're not really locked in enough, you need to be locked in from the jump if you're not going to have loads of warm-up sets. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I knew where I went wrong. And when I did the practice, when I was doing squats, right, and I was just practicing the movement. Because look, obviously I've got a job at the minute and potentially a job at this food production place, but I want to be a PT. And that form, was obviously a bit nax because I mis-executed. It's fine to make a mistake. I just need to know that as someone that wants to be personal trainer and stuff, I need to know where I went wrong. I can't just not know where I went wrong. And for a couple of minutes, I was kind of confused at that. Why the fuck that up so bad? I was sort of in denial almost. And I was like, yeah, you're not leading with your arms, you're leading with your upper back. So that when I'm wedging, I've still got, you know, curvature in my upper back, a little bit of curvature in my lower back, to be honest, because that position coming into the wedge was so poor. If I had a slightly straighter back, or a more neutral spine before the wedge, I'd have a really strong, consistent wedge. And obviously when you've got curvature in your back, there's energy leakage. There's a lot of energy leakage. Your joints aren't stacked. You know, your wedge with your arms, what do they call it at the moment, arm or something? But, like, you got your back and your arms, and you want everything to, like, be in, like, this triangle where, like, you know, when you got curvature in your back and your arms, like, there's a lot of energy leakage. Your leverages are really poor. Like, you're not anchoring against the bar and the floor properly. Because your back's curved, it's just like you're not using, you know, all the force and muscles as efficiently as possible. Like, you're using a lot of your back, and your legs aren't getting through the bar as much. And I'm just in a weak position to lift from, you know what I mean? Because my arms and back are kind of lugging it, instead of a really tight, stacked wedge where I'm like, bang, you know? And when I was practicing, that's what I felt, and I was like, fuck, you know, it's just so much more forceful when you do it right. But yeah, I'm shit at explaining things, but I know, you know? Do you guys ever think that? You're shit at explaining things, but you know? Yeah, that's something I'd have to work on as well. Explaining, like, getting my point across. Knowing how to explain the biomechanics of it as well, even though I know, you know? But yeah, regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Yeah, technical session next time on deadlifts, focus on speed through your bar as well. Can I just have a really efficient, beautiful pull? That's what I want. That's what I felt with that 140 last week. Obviously anyone can have a bad session where they just forget their cues, and on deadlifts that was it. Squat, second movement, I sort of integrated to the session more as time progressed. Because I fucked up, I was like, right, I need to snap in now. But I didn't do it with 40, 60, 80, 100. I think just because it's top set, my mind wasn't really in headspace. Someone's on the Smith machine behind me. So I kind of felt a little bit like, not claustrophobic, but, you know, that person behind me, I don't really want to get in their way, so I'm overthinking that. And then the bar was bent as well, so the bar was at like a bit of like a 20-degree angle. You know, when you got the thin Technogen plates, they kind of, you know, in the first plate out a lot because of, you know, someone using the rack was the Technogen one, and they're hard to get the bar to be completely straight. The bar wasn't completely straight, it was a bit of an angle. There's someone pretty close behind me. And where I was sitting when I was resting was on that Smith machine. So I was kind of sitting on the plates, and it was just not really the right, you know, I'd have wanted a bench or like to sit on the plates down the side. That's more comfortable. It's hard to explain this in the gym, but the bumper plates are all lined up, and that makes like a decent seat. I didn't really have anywhere. Well, that's what I had, you know, sitting on the plates on the barbell. That was rolling slightly, and I couldn't really get hyped up or, you know, as much as I wanted anyway. So yeah, it was a culmination of a few things, and things that throw you off a little bit can make you mis-execute, and, you know, that's the end of it, really. Squats, I had my own space, it was comfortable, it was good. I did well, and, you know, obviously bounced back from deadlifts, so yeah, but I know what to do in the future now. You know, regardless of situations being unoptimal, things aren't always going to be the way you want them. So it's about adapting, staying in the right headspace and making the best of the situation, and still focusing on your cues, still focusing on what you're doing. Don't lose focus because other things are throwing you off, basically. So yeah, enough waffling. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.